Hello, dear friends. What a week it has been. I don't even know where to begin. It has been extraordinarily excruciating. And the funny thing is, and funny, not haha, but the funny piece is that they haven't taken over yet. We still have 2 months until the Trump regime begins. And yet, exactly what I have been saying would happen if Donald Trump were ever to gain power and access to the White House again is that every day would feel like hell. And the funny thing is, folks, we're still in the in between place. We haven't even reached, right, the bowels of hell yet. And that should scare the hell out of everyone. Welcome to the Danielle Moodie Show. Grab your cocktails, your mocktails. If you smoke them, have them. Um, let's get into today. Well, it is Thursday, and for us here on the Danielle Moodie Show, it is essentially the end of the week as this show runs Monday through Thursday. Welcome to everyone here. First off, I'm going to start with an announcement, which is that as of next week, I will no longer be streaming on X. I just announced that I am leaving the platform officially as their new terms and conditions take effect tomorrow. And a little bit about their terms and conditions, just so that everyone understands that by submitting, posting, or displaying content on or through the services, you grant us a worldwide, non exclusive, royalty free license with the right to sub-license to use, copy, reproduce, process, adapt, modify, publish, transmit, display, upload, download, and distribute such content in any and all media or distribution methods now known or later developed for any purposes. For clarity, these rights include, for example, curating, transforming, and translating. This license authorizes us to make your content available to the rest of the world and to let others do the same. You agree that this license includes the right for us to analyze text and other information you provide and to otherwise provide, promote, and improve the services, including, for example, for use and training of our machine learning and artificial intelligence models, whether generative or another type. So for folks who are on X, who may be watching today, I'm leaving the platform. I have posted that I have an account on Blue Sky. You can find me over there. I am Danielle Moodie over on Blue Sky, and that is where I will be, as well as the Meta platforms, Threads, and Instagram. But X, it's a wrap. And I think that anyone that is concerned about any level of privacy of posting or reusing your content in any which way that they choose, and there is no opt-out button. This is their terms of service that take effect tomorrow. So be well aware of that, because I think that it is incredibly important. And as has been reported, that since the election, millions of people have made the migration over to Blue Sky. as a way to continue to communicate. And also, it is, as of right now, lots of progressives, lots of Democrats are going over there. And, there are some folks that have been saying, and thank you, Lori. Here is my profile on Blue Sky. And so I suggest, please, please do follow me over there. Um, the funny thing is that a lot of folks have stated that, well, this is how Democrats lose. You create this ecosystem, this echo chamber, and you flee where there is potential discord. That's not what folks are doing, and at least that is my opinion. The reality is that since Elon Musk has taken over the Twitter platform, it has become a magnet for MAGA and MAGA types. And what do I mean by that? Misogynists, racists, white supremacists. The fact that you can buy a check mark as opposed to earning it through the amount of followers. The fact that there is no real free speech, that he has suppressed the algorithms of progressives, of thoughtful folks, and elevated other people. That's why folks are leaving. And, frankly, we need safe spaces more now than ever before. And I frankly don't want to be on a platform that doesn't want me or people like me to live in equity. That is not up for debate, that don't consider LGBTQ people to be worthy of citizenship or good treatment or equality or justice or any of those things. And so for that reason, again, I am leaving the platform. So please find me elsewhere. So let's start off where things are and where my feelings are today. Not great. Things are not good. If you were here yesterday and I ran through the list of current cabinet picks, and I will get to today's breaking news of cabinet pick, Bill Kristol said it perfectly. It is as bad as we thought it might be, actually worse. It is 100% exactly what I had envisioned, what I've been talking about for the last several years, which is if Donald Trump came back in power, all bets were off. And the American people decided that not only would they give Donald Trump back the keys to the White House, they would ensure that there would be no breaks whatsoever by delivering the Senate and the House as well. And so when Donald Trump is posting, these folks as his cabinet picks, and everyone is saying, well, they won't get confirmed in the Senate, what reality is everyone existing inside of? They are going to do recess appointments, which is legal for the president to do. As a matter of fact, Barack Obama could have done that with Merrick Garland, but he was concerned with appearance. And because of that, we have a MAGA Supreme Court, because he decided not to use all of the power that he had in order to ensure that a Democrat was able to make his Supreme Court pick. So Donald Trump, again, like I said, like I've been saying, he is not creating new laws. He is resurrecting and utilizing the laws that are at his fingertips. Meaning that if the Senate were to go out on recess, which some are saying that Susan Collins and Murkowski, the two white women that we put our hopes and fucking dreams on every cycle to do the right thing, Susan Collins, who told us that Donald Trump will grow into the role of president, because apparently when you're 70 something years old, you still have room to grow into being a man. Apparently, adolescence for white men lasts well until your 80s. Nonetheless, they are making a conversation around the fact, or starting a narrative, that the Murkowski and Collins will not vote to go into recess. My thought is that they will be pressured and they will go along with the flow. And again, not like it actually matters, but they have the Senate with 53, right? With 53 Republican senators. So it's not even a slim margin. Like, they don't actually need, right, Democrats. And so my feeling is that there is going to be there has been no pushback to Donald Trump to this point. So now that he has absolute immunity from the Supreme Court, he has the keys to the kingdom, all branches, right? Like, they're really going to stop the pedophile Matt Gaetz from becoming attorney general, right? A man that I guess is a lawyer. Maybe he practiced for a year at some podunk law firm down in Pensacola. I think he got some folks some fishing permits or something like that. So now he's going to be the attorney general of the United States. And why do I say pedophile? Oh, that's because the high schooler that he had sexual relations with, her attorney just came out today and said, yes, she was indeed in high school. And yes, there were, in fact, witnesses to what I can only call the sexual assault that took place. And by witnesses, you might as well use the term accomplices. Because if an underage young woman, young girl, is at a party that's fueled with drugs and alcohol and is naked there, and everyone knows that she is underage and no one intervenes, then yeah, you're an accomplice. And so her attorneys came out today and said that it is a travesty that Matt Gaetz would be nominated to be the Attorney General of the United States, and called on Congress to reveal the report that they were going to be voting on in 2 days, the ethics report that has been ongoing since 2021. Now, folks, I said on one of my shows, The New Abnormal, which will be up tomorrow or tonight at midnight, I said, I don't understand, like, what happened with the ethics committee. Why the fuck did it take 3 years for them to pull together this report? But then I was reminded that it was Merrick Garland's Department of Justice that told the ethics committee to stand down while the Department of Justice investigated and then dropped the investigation. So Merrick Garland, once again, getting in the way of everything right, the ethics committee actually postponed their investigations because the DOJ asked them to. The DOJ then comes up empty, as they have, and then the ethics committee picked up where the DOJ left off. So it wasn't actually 3 years of them investigating because they were told to stop. But now that Matt Gaetz has resigned and they only had purview over him as a congressperson, I'm saying what the rest of you are saying in the chat. Leak that shit. Not like I actually think that it will matter. These are people that know that Donald Trump is an adjudicated rapist. These are people that held up signs that said "Women for Kavanaugh," knowing that Brett Kavanaugh is a sexual assaulter. Knowing that, guess what? Clarence Thomas, sexual harasser. So the fact is, people know all of these things. And I think that we still hold on to hope that if it's just this piece of information or this next thing, that somehow those that have been sleepwalking through this democracy that is now done will somehow wake up. And I want to just be the one to be like, I don't think that they're going to wake up, but I still think that the report should be out in the open, at least for this young woman's sake who came forward, right? So deep breaths, deep breaths. But yes, it is actually worse. And why do we say that? Well, let's go with the breaking news that came out right before I hit live. And that would be this. Brace yourselves if I'm the one that is breaking this news for all of you. But Donald Trump just picked RFK Jr., anti-vaxxer, worm-headed man who doesn't believe in fluoride in water, believes that vaccines cause autism. He's going to be in charge of Health and Human Services. And again, folks are going to be like, no, that's not going to happen. You know, Batman will come from the sky and make it so it doesn't materialize. No, it's going to happen. Because once again, we are in a position to be relying on who? Some good-natured, thoughtful Republicans to care about the health and safety, not only of themselves, but maybe their constituents, maybe the rest of the country. Y'all, I can't make this shit up today. And it's like every day just gets worse and worse. And the wild part is we still have 60 some odd days that Joe Biden is president of these United States, because while we're feeling all of this angst and frustration and anger and despair, we haven't even hit start on the clock of the second Trump regime. That's the shit that has me losing my mind today. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm struggling today. Today's not a great day because I've spent all day covering the cabinet, covering what we could potentially think is coming next. And as folks are saying in the chat right now, after I announced RFK Jr., yeah, they're going to kill us. I see no way around it. Vaccines were a scientific boon that saved millions of people's lives, whether you're talking about measles, polio, COVID, right? Tetanus shots, malaria. There are countries around the world that would literally die for the opportunity to walk into your local CVS and fucking Walgreens, a Target pharmacy or wherever, and receive a shot that could save your life or your family's life. So, friends, like, I look at this now, as these things come in, you have, I think what sent me over the edge, and for those of you that listen to the New Abnormal, I'm giving you like a sneak preview to what is going to drop tonight at midnight. My co-host, Andy Levy, gives a breakdown on tomorrow's show that is about Pete Hegseth Donald Trump's pick for Secretary of Defense and talks about his white Christian nationalist beliefs and ties, the tattoo that he has on his inner arm, and his dedication to violence. And the fact that he is somebody that believes in God's law over the laws that we create here on earth and in this country. And so here's where I say you can't argue with people who are not operating in the same place and reality that we all are, where we say, oh, here we have this Constitution. He says, no, here we have this Bible. And it is to be taken as the rule of law. And so if you believe, as Pete Hegseth does, that you are put on this earth to do battle against demons, and those demons are people who don't believe that Donald Trump is the second coming of Christ, who are Black, who are queer, who are disabled, who are Muslim, who are Jewish, or what have you, he's going to war with you. That's what half of America voted for. This Secretary of Defense is not in it, folks, for the protection of the United States from quote unquote foreign threats. He's not interested in going around the world and defending democracy. They are about turning the most powerful military on American citizens. And again, before folks say to me, that can't possibly happen, tell me what the rules are. Tell me what the laws are that say that it can't. So we're in it. Okay? And what these announcements are offering is that this regime does not give a fuck about the American people. Because if you did, you would not be putting Matt Gaetz as anybody's attorney general. You would not be putting in a Fox and Friends TV host as the Secretary of Defense. You would not be offering up a man who doesn't believe in science or vaccines as the head of Health and Human Services. You would not be making a known Russian plant the head of national intelligence. You would not be putting a dog killer as the head of Homeland Security. Donald Trump has picked every single person that has licked his boots and kissed his ring. So qualifications here don't matter. The only qualification that these people needed to have was that they pledged allegiance to Donald Trump. Because if you cared about this country, you would put people in charge that were actually qualified to hold the positions. Whether or not we actually agreed with their ideology, you wouldn't pick, the person checking you out at the grocery store to be the head of the FDA because they handle fucking food. But this is the logic that is being offered up now. Because the goal is to rape and pillage this country and sell it off for parts. And those that remain at the top will get wealthier and more powerful, so they could care less to what happens to the rest of us. And this is before, folks, this is before their actual desire to funnel all of these marginalized groups off into the camps. Now, again, before folks say, oh, that can't happen, or I'm not undocumented, or this, that, and the other thing, we talked about this yesterday. We talked about Operation Wetback. We talked about the Aliens Act that allowed for the internment of Japanese Americans. What we have to understand is that it's one of my favorite. Every so often, the list goes around, and they say that slavery legal, apartheid legal, the Holocaust was legal, right? It is not about whether or not something is illegal or legal, because you can make things legal. It is about power. And Donald Trump and MAGA have the power now to do everything and anything. And the fact that we are even in a position where we are praying that they are too incompetent to kill all of us is a wild place to be. But I got to be honest, and I said this in my Woke AF interview that will also go up tomorrow, that the thing that is so hard for us to wrap our minds around is that all of us are not making it to the other side of this. That's the thing. You know, and when people say, well, this country has seen worse, or they've been through worse, and I'm just like, yeah, and there were millions of people that did not make it through those dark times. And the thing that I will offer is that folks need to take Donald Trump and all of these folks that he is appointing to these cabinet positions at their word. Just go and listen to some of the things that Pete Hegseth has said. You've already heard what JD Vance thinks. Pete Hegseth said, guess what? He doesn't want women in combat. Do you know how many women are in combat around the world? Tammy Duckworth, who is a veteran that lost both of her legs in combat, a senator, said, if you remove women from combat, we can't actually defend this country abroad and at home. But I said, that's the joke. They're not interested in defending America abroad. They're interested in turning America into Russia and Hungary and Iran and China. They're interested in absolute and total control. And for those that do not comply, they will face the wrath of this presidency. And again, folks are like, oh, all right, well, we'll just hold on. We'll hold on for 2 years until midterms. Really? Or 4 years. Who's going to run in 4 years? Really? But this is what America wanted. This is what America voted for. And I am beside myself today. Tomorrow, I'm sure I'll feel better. And then the next day, I'll feel worse, because that is the reality that we are living in. And I don't want folks to at all be caught off guard by what is happening. I do actually want you to imagine the worst and prepare for it. Because once they take control, they are never giving it up. And do you know what pissed me off today? The pictures going around, and I refused to put it in my pictures today, in my slide deck today. Joe fucking Biden and Dr. Jill Biden smiling and posing with Donald Trump. And folks want to tell me, well, you know, it's part of the peaceful transfer of power. Shut the fuck up. We know good goddamn well what is coming. Because you know what? Joe Biden told us himself before he decided not to run again. And for 3 months, Vice President Kamala Harris told us. So you know what? Get rid of your fucking norms that he blew up 9 years ago anyway. That Donald Trump has called Joe Biden and his family everything but a child of God. And you're going to sit down and smile in that man's face for appearances? We are past that. We left the perception of normalcy when that motherfucker came down the escalator 9 years ago. When he asked for Barack Obama, our president, to show him his papers. So let us not pretend that going along with the farce that America is somehow going to be okay, which is also what Joe Biden uttered. Well, for you, it will be, sir, because you're in your sunset years. So you don't have to worry about what America is going to look like in a year or 5 years or 10 years, and neither does your family. And yes, I know that this man gave his entire career, 40 years, to public service. But I also know that you have 60 some odd days. You also had 4 years to take credible action to ensure that there were some type of guardrails that were put in place, that if in fact Donald Trump or anyone like him were to enter into office, that maybe America would be able to survive. But where are the judge appointments right now that are being pushed through? Oh, we don't want the appearance of Democrats doing something wrong. Miss me with it. It is just utterly wild today, friends. Utterly wild where we find ourselves. And, you know, Carl Sagan wrote about U.S. politics in 1995. This is something that I saw today from the London Economic. And I just wanted to run through a couple of these. And he said this. This was in 1995. I have a foreboding of an America in my children's or grandchildren's time when the United States is a service and information economy, when nearly all the key manufacturing industries have slipped away to other countries, when awesome technological powers are in the hands of a very few. Hello, Meta. Hello, Twitter. Hello, Google. And, he goes on, no one representing the public interest can even grasp the issue. Hello, Congress. When the people have lost the ability to set their own agendas or knowledgeably question those in authority, when clutching our crystals and nervously consulting our horoscopes, our critical faculties in decline, unable to distinguish between what feels good and what's true. We slide, almost without noticing, back into superstition and darkness. The dumbing down of America is most evident in the slow decay of substantive content in the enormously influenced media. The 30-second sound bites, lowest common denominator programming, credulous presentations on pseudoscience and superstition. but especially a kind of celebration of ignorance. (1995). The man might as well have been a soothsayer. He talked about crystals and moving into a space of superstition. That's the only place that I will say, nah, because I will tell you that that's ancient technology. That's technology that is older, right? Than this country, than this planet. But the fact is that we have slipped. We have slid fully into a place where we don't know fact from fiction, where we don't know reality from the siloed fantasies that we've created in our own little microcosms and bubbles. I watch as you all do, and I am a part of it. You watch as people go down the street, their necks down into their phones, nearly bumping into other people whose heads are also down. So ignorant and oblivious to the actual world that is taking place around you that we have to teach young people how to be in conversation because they have no idea, because their dinner table looks like what? An iPad on a tripod with headphones on. And then we have the audacity to say, oh, well, what's wrong with kids these days? They're your fucking children. Being raised by, I don't know, Blue's Clues or Paw Patrol or whatever it is, but certainly not being in conversation with adults. Adults forgot how to have conversation and connect outside of social media. This is how it all began. Donald Trump is a media star, a reality TV star. And if we weren't fed the glitz and the glamour of the rich and the famous, then we wouldn't have fallen for the rope-a-dope to begin with. But because the rich who control what we see, what we hear, what we do, what we covet, they sold us on their new God, material things that have us vote against our best interests in the hopes that one day we will be them, sitting on gold toilets, not giving a fuck about anybody else because we got ours. So is it any surprise that years after The Apprentice, when Donald Trump was sitting in everybody's living room, that he would then be sitting in the Oval Office dictating to the rest of us what our life is going to be like moving forward in the image that he wants it to be in? Because we fell for the scam that wealth somehow was equated to intelligence. That's why we're here. Because reality TV didn't just stay reality TV where you're watching people eat bugs and be in stupid competitions. No, it became reality politics, reality TV politics, where we took that same bullshit of flipping tables and nonsense, and that's what we watch Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert do in Congress. But we've become desensitized because over the last 2-3 decades of listening and watching and consuming reality TV, that became our norm. So is it no wonder that the thing, right, that has brought in billions for networks would then be translated into our politics? Matt Gaetz is going to be the attorney general. He is the fucking troller in chief in Congress. But he has great sound bites on Fox. And that's what has elevated him. Can you name another like junior congressman whose name you actually know that isn't from your state? He used the media in the way that we have all consumed media. And that's why he's going to be in the position that he's in. We all did this. That's the funny thing. Myself included. We all contributed to this. I watched that bullshit too. But I thought it would stay compartmentalized as entertainment and that the serious people would continue to be in charge of our country. And the people that were given the power of representing this country, their constituents, that they did so because they were actually patriotic and gave a shit. Not because they saw an opportunity for a smash and grab. But, you know, when you begin to feed the beast becomes insatiable. One of my favorite childhood movies, The Never Ending Story. I'm showing my entire age right now. Favorite. Little boy, Atreyu, right? And the nothing that is coming to consume the universe that the story is taking place in. And just the big nothing. And they're trying to do battle with it. That is MAGA. It will destroy everything and everyone, including itself. It's extraordinary where we find ourselves. I will say this as I close out today, because today is Thursday, which is our call to action, which we absolutely need right now. And here it is. ACLU is going to have the fight of their lives to protect our civil liberties. And they are going to need the resources in order to do it. ACLU protects LGBTQ rights, racial justice, gender, worker protection, all the things. And just recently, this week, HR 9495, a bill that failed in the House after being a bipartisan introduction, was created to have the ability of the president to label certain nonprofit organizations as terrorist organizations so that they would lose their 501c3 status and no longer be able to be tax exempt, and just essentially disappear. Because without the tax exemption, without donors, nonprofits will just go the way of the wind. And Democrats and Republicans were both on board with this because their focus had been around what? Pro-Palestinian nonprofit organizations. And so they wanted to make sure, you're not funding Hamas and all of these things. But by the way, we already have laws in place that make it so you can't fund those that are doing terrorist work. So this law was going to be redundant. But then Donald Trump wins the presidency. And now all of a sudden, Democrats who have had a failure of imagination this entire goddamn time now recognize that, oh my God, Donald Trump would be able to have the power to say that the ACLU, Planned Parenthood, right, and any organization that they did not like the work that they did was now a terrorist organization and hub, and take away their funding, take away their tax-free status, and scare donors from ever being able to contribute to them. So this time around, the bill has failed. It won't next Congress. And organizations like the ACLU are out there fighting for all of us. So if you have the ability to be able to donate and support this organization, now would be the time to do so. Because they are going to have a fight on their hands. And that fight is for us. Oh, dear friends, we're just in the thick of it at this moment. And, I want to appreciate every single one of you for showing up, for creating community in the live chat, for your wonderful donations to me and this channel. I will say this, that I cannot do this work that I am not paid to do without your support. So your donations, as big and as small, mean so very much, and they mean that I can continue to do this work for as long as it is legal and safe to provide folks with information. That is what I will do. And so thank you so much to those this week and today that have donated. I appreciate you. You are supporting independent media. Like I have said, if you are cutting the cord with cable and if you're leaving your subscriptions at the New York Times and LA Times, please do consider donating here, right? So that I can continue to do this work, and to other independent media content creators. Because it goes a long, long way. And it goes as long a way as your likes and your comments, and subscribing and sharing this content with people helps the algorithm. It helps these videos to be able to show up in people's feeds. And the more people, the more like-minded people that care about each other, the better we will all be. Thank you so much. And so all I can say is that I will continue being here for as long as it is safe and legal. And I hope that all of you will continue to show up here as well, Monday through Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern. I want to offer that we will get through this together. I have no idea, friends, what the other side looks like. None of us do. So we can just take this one day, one moment at a time, continue to find ways to ground ourselves, find joy, create community, connect with others. Because when we fall into despair, they absolutely win. So thank you, dear friends, as always. Power to the people and to all the people power. Get woke, stay sane, and in these incredibly dangerous times, stay safe. I will be back here on Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern, and I will be back here live tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern, with my co-host Wajahat Ali for Democracy Ish. You will not want to miss it. So please do tune in 12 p.m. Eastern for Democracy Ish. And I will have Get Woke videos coming over the weekend as well. You all, please stay safe. And I will see you tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern for Democracy-ish, and back here on Monday. Be well. Thank you so much to the moderators. You always do an incredible job. Appreciate each and every one of you. And remember, follow me on Blue Sky because we're Xing that out. Bye.